Um, you guys may remember what it was like with those holding those early like Palantir and Robinhood days when you were holding and you were just flat and everybody else was going up. Do you remember what it was like having a bunch of Palantir and then having watching people who had C3 AI shares popping bottles and stuff on earnings, and we'd go down on even on good earnings. It's feeling like this week again. I'm like, okay, everybody else is having a party. I don't have a whole lot of memory or
Photonics.
CPUs or photonics. Yeah, so
Yeah, either you're in those names or you're not. Either you're in the shovel people who are selling the shovels in the gold rush, or you're not. And it's kind of a tale of two cities right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel like you can get in now. It's just
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of opportunity for. I think for a lot of. I mean, there's still tons for AI. I mean, I even think for Palantir, there's still a good cause for anyone looking to get some entry into it.
I would agree
yeah,
with that.
I sleep perfectly fine with my shares. It's just it's watching everyone else party when you're not part of it. That's a little bit of the emotional tough part sometimes.
It's the SpongeBob meme where Squidward is just watching the party.
Yeah,
for real.
So happy for all my friends who are in it and are making money. Wouldn't mind being one of them, but I know what it's like to be the guy who is making money and other people aren't. So I'm just gonna wait my turn again.
Yeah, congrats to everyone who's in the names and making money. I've got a few friends who are. Didn't follow them into it, but they've been holding AMD and Micron and Bloom, all these names all the way up. So shouts out to them. They risk it for the biscuit and they got paid.
Yeah, that MU has been a nice one.
This is the meme here on the right.
Yep. That is absolutely me.
These are all the SMH people having fun with their hands in the air. Everybody
absolutely
else.
Last 2 days I'm in the red, and everyone else is just like having the best days ever.
We got Venom in the house. We got June. We have Jackson. Thanks everyone for being here. We're excited to start this one off. We actually have a good chunk of topics here when it comes to ad tech. Again, this is my friend JD. We actually have a history here. We actually lived together for a minute, and JD works in ad tech, so he's got some interesting insights that he's going to share with us. If you want to kick us off here and give us an intro.
Yeah, I can give it a rip. What's up, everyone? I'm JD, also known as JD the Camera Guy. I basically do a lot of stuff with social media. I also work in the advertising space. I work for a company called Ridge. They make like minimalist men's wallets, men's accessories. I work on their ad team as one of the guys who creates a bunch of the ads. So regularly in ad accounts that are spending like 6-7 figures on a monthly basis through everything, through like Meta, through AppLovin, through YouTube. So just kind of working a lot in those spaces has helped me give some like a little bit of like insight into like what helps these ad platforms just really just rip from like a business perspective, what helps bring businesses to spend just a lot of dollars, just hand over fist. So
right, because if you can generate a business model where you're making a lot more sales and you're just scaling your business and you continue to do so, like the advertising spend is going to scale with that business as they grow.
100%. Yeah, especially with how good a lot of this software is getting an integration with different like AI softwares. Advertising teams are able to figure out their best performing creatives earlier than ever, and they're able to cut their worst performing creatives earlier than ever, just through using a lot of stuff that the platforms offer. And the platforms that are a lot more AI integrated. So obviously like a Meta, for example, a company that I really like a lot, especially at the price that it's currently at, because it's been dipping. That is a company that is taking on AI and they're implementing it into their advertising platform to help not only deliver ads better, but also to help the businesses that are creating ads create ads better and just manage their overall ad library a lot better. Overall, just allowing businesses to spend more money with Meta, especially being that they get a lot of revenue from ad dollars.
So you kind of hit on three different points there. So you've got like the first angle, which is the recommendation engine. So we know that the recommendation algorithms are getting better and better. You've got the second part, which is the campaign management. So you know to press the gas on ads that are working better, which you can see more visibly now, and cut what's not working. And then the third section of that is the generative component and how the technology companies can use the technology advantage that they have to help their partners actually create cheaper content, push campaigns out even faster than they were before, and doing so at probably what, 1/10 of the cost that they were before.
Even I would say in some cases even less than that. They're just able to test way more aggressively into creative, which in the advertising space is like the name of the game. You just test a bunch of creative with different messaging, different creative format, different style till you find what works. You double down on that and then you continue testing into new stuff. So it just really allows companies to do that just so seamlessly while hitting all of their key performance indicators. And I mean, for most companies, at least in the direct to consumer space, Meta is like their prime advertising platform. That's usually most people's number one. And then close behind that is like YouTube, which owned by Google. And then I would say right in that stack is their Google advertising. So like that's like their search advertising. So I mean, there's another one that I'm really big on is Google, but there's just a lot of AI technology is just getting so good for how much it is allowing businesses to spend just a lot of money with these like advertising platforms like Meta, like YouTube. And there's some other platforms that have grown recently. AppLovin has grown a lot recently. Admittedly, it's not quite as good as like a Meta or a YouTube because the audience is a bit older, but nonetheless, it's still returning a lot of investors.
Which audience is older?
What's that?
Which audience is older?
AppLovin. AppLovin has typically an older demographic, so.
Which is interesting because their focus is right now. The business mix is going to shift over the next few years, but right now it's almost entirely mobile gaming. So you would kind of expect it to be younger, but what they've said on the calls is it's actually like 40 plus, a lot of women. Think about who plays Candy Crush as an example.
Exactly. 100%.
Talk to me about this idea that you have called content shock. Can you break that down a little bit?
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure I'm looking at the right idea that I have here. Yeah, so basically what it is that like based on the amount of AI content that's out there and the amount of strategy that's available out there just for people who have access to these AI softwares, it's raised the bar for what's been considered good content. And additionally, it's also raised the bar for just authentic content. People want to see authentic, they want people to people interaction on social media. So basically what has happened because of AI creating content, there doesn't just need to be the volume play, but there also needs to be like this base floor of content in terms of quality. And then additionally, there needs to be an authenticity level of like people who are making content out there. They just need to kind of be as authentic as they can be because people want that like human to human connection. So I don't know if that fully answers or like describes this like content shock kind of like idea, but like basically people just really crave that human authenticity online more than ever. So the
is it
more
fair
you
to
can,
say that is it fair to
yeah,
say that there's still an uncanny valley, as it were, in the AI generated ad stuff, which you can use for making a lot of volume, but people can still tell that it's largely AI generated, and that's so it's not as valuable. Um, and
yeah,
and what still pays better, what still performs better, is still the human to human um,
hmm
ad spend.
I'll give it a
So
caveat.
you've got your bulk mailer now. That's all your AI stuff essentially, right? And you're getting
Yes,
tailored, like
somewhat.
individual. It feels more. You still feel made special when a human gives you their time
Yep,
versus when we know it's an algorithm.
correct. The big thing for it is video content specifically hasn't gotten to the point yet where it can do AI. Image wise, it's you can do insane workflows. You can do like 1,000 image workflows through Claude workspace, where basically what you'll do is you'll add in like your marketing campaign. You'll add in your campaign objectives. You'll add in your product. You'll add in some PNG images of the product, and then you'll just straight up list out like your objectives. You'll add in marketing copy, and you'll say, I want to make 1,000 different images with this. And the AI itself, just off of you typing that, will create a workflow of like, okay, well, I have to pull the copy. Then I have to make headlines. Then I have to make images based on what the summary of the marketing has done. Um, to make a long story short, basically AI for images has gotten really good at scale, where like a team could create thousands of images within a day of like,
Mhm.
and they're like ready to run ads. As long as you have enough marketing copy and enough design inspo to feed it, so it doesn't keep repeating itself,
So
essentially.
the marketing cycle has compressed massively.
Yeah, yeah. The amount of leveraging AI, the amount that teams would need to do graphic design work outside of AI has shrunk a lot. They can just use AI to do a lot of it. They just need someone who knows how to use the correct tools, essentially, to get the correct output and how to set up workflows.
Okay, now are we still using like Adobe and Canva and Figma for these like final edits as we're still working our way towards like perfect AI generated prompting?
Yeah, primarily Adobe. Still using Adobe Photoshop for like the head designer of like a graphic design team is still using Photoshop, but they do a lot of their base level work within the LLMs to do, whether it's Claude, whether it's Gemini, using Nano Banana, whichever one they might be using. They're using that to do like their base level of stuff that they need to get. And then to go further on that, they're then bringing it back into Photoshop because then they can do manual tweaks. Additionally, I know Claude is in the process of hooking up Adobe within Claude. So you can essentially create these images within Claude, but then you can leverage Photoshop type browser or Photoshop type interface into Claude. So essentially, what will happen is eventually people will be able to leverage Adobe Suite creative tools within Claude. They won't have to lead Claude for anything for their entire image ad workflow. And even for like people who are in like the space of creating content or whatever type of image work, it's just really getting to a place where like Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, mixed with like a workflow type tool are they're just going to dominate in the next 6 to 12 months here, because a company and a team will be able to use that same chat workflow file all together, and they'll be able to ask it to create things, and people will just be able to pull from it. And it's all aligned. It's all brand aligned. It's all like, what's the term? It's all just made specifically from the brand's image of like what they want to have happen for their marketing material. Anyone will be able to pull from it, and it'll integrate all the tools that they already use via like their communication, their editing, so on and so forth. So it'll just kind of link it all, which is really crazy that we're going to get to that place in the next, I think it's going to be in the next 6 to 12 months. I kind of mentioned that. Maybe it happens quicker, maybe a little bit slower, but that's kind of my estimate for it.
Now, the tokens that we're spending to make this stuff, that's still much, much less costly than actually producing the ad by hand and getting a studio, hiring actors, getting props, etc.
As far as I'm aware, yes. I mean, from a consumer standpoint, from like me who pays for like a Claude access, yes, it's much cheaper because, as you mentioned, I don't have to pay a photographer. I don't have to pay a graphic designer, at least for like one specific image. What now teams are doing is they're paying a photographer to take a base level image of the product. They have a photographer maybe take some like background shots, and then they have like one editor who's almost more like a Claude editor, where they work with the AI platforms to then say, okay, this is how I want it. This is how I want the prompting. This is how I want the camera to look, so on and so forth. And then they just kind of work on that process all together. Instead of previously, you would have needed like a 10-person team to do something. Now, arguably, you need 2 to 3 people, maybe 4, just because you maybe want someone on like a higher oversight level versus having to hire like the photographer's assistant. So it's there. I think there are some positives to it, and obviously there's some negatives because a lot of people have like job fears in it. But I think a lot of businesses are more expansion minded. Their thought process isn't, oh, well, we had this cost eliminated, so we're chilling. We're not going to expand anymore. We're good. Their thought is, how can we expand the business more now that we have extra capital? So,
that comes down to like, okay, we don't have to pay a whole bunch of people to answer the phones in our customer service department, so we can go hire more engineers to go make more new things.
100%. 100%. It's more, I heard it recently on like a shorts clip where it was talking about how a lot of people, they might have to reskill. They won't necessarily like lose their position at their work. They just have to reskill, where they have to like they have to learn into how can they do their previous job leveraging AI, and then how can they do parts of these new I don't know if roles or new like work things that come up because of the efficiency of these AI tools. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit of my perspective on where I see AI, ad creative, a lot of these like, you know, your Metas, your AppLovins, your YouTubes, Pinterest, even Reddits, like these platforms where people do a lot of ads. A lot of these platforms are going to get a lot of money from businesses from advertising. So
your take is that a lot of the challenger brands almost now have a level playing field relative to like some of the more dominant established brands, because what Nike used to be able to do with advertising used to be miles ahead of, you know, any other shoe brand. But now that playing field has been leveled a little bit, makes it easier for them to come in and play ball.
1000%. Makes it so much easier for even like, like a business. Like I swear I've seen articles or like headlines of people who run like 1 to 5 person teams, and they're doing like 8-9 figure revenue D2C companies as like a small person shop, because a lot of the ad creative has just been able to be done internally. And then additionally with that, all of that money they're spending towards advertising. So there's a lot of money that will end up flowing to like the advertisers, because they're just pushing out content from these businesses that are delivering a product or service to people that are scrolling on social media. So it's it's pretty wild. Especially, I mean, what I do for work, I didn't really go to school for it. I just kind of ended up getting skilled into just by doing a bunch of photography, videography stuff. Just kind of ended up getting into the field. So, and I think that's just how a lot of things are going with AI technology. So, I'm not sure what your guys' thoughts are on it, but I'd love to hear it.
It does feel very much like the new economy, right? Is going to not care what you studied in university. And it's more along the lines of what skills did you acquire in your early 20s that you're able to leverage in a career in your 30s, 40s, and 50s.
Yeah.
I don't really care what you studied, because we have an answer machine now. So I don't need to come to you for answers. I need to come to you for creativity and problem solving.
100%. 100%. And I mean, if you talk to even like small business owners, like there's a fair bit of the people that I know who own small businesses. A lot of them are trying to integrate AI in whatever way they can, just because it's excuse me, it's efficient for them to use the AI softwares to make marketing material. So,
a few of the brands that I can think of when we look at brands that have just scaled almost solely based on social media, obviously you've got Tesla with Elon using his attention. You've got Duolingo, who hit on what you talked about earlier. They're really just superhuman about it. Like, they don't pretend to be a corporate brand at all. And a lot of people find them relatable. And when I really started noticing lots of advertisements and brands that are scaling specifically on Instagram, look at the rise of brands like Gymshark. Even look at Celsius putting their sponsorships all over YouTube videos, podcasts. Shopify gets in lots of advertisements. So this is a real medium that brands are starting to move through, rather than a lot of them are still using, linear and traditional brand aided awareness like SoFi does, just buying stadium rights. But a whole new category has been unlocked, and it seems like where we're headed over the next few years is even more growth is to come from brands just being able to more effectively find their buyers.
Yeah, 100%. And a lot of people just have a lot of free time. Like, they just are scrolling on. So the reason why so many people buy using social media is because so many people are just using social media on like a day-to-day basis.
Did you see Meta ad impressions are up 19% year over year?
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I did not see that. That's interesting.
Yeah, they guided for 33% revenue growth this year. Meta, like the biggest, soon to be the biggest advertiser in the world.
Yep.
They're about to overtake Google search. Do you want to talk a little bit about the zero-click reality?
Yeah, give me 1 second here. I just want to make sure I'm referencing. Yeah. So basically what's happening is like when people search things on Google, what's happening, they'll search in whatever the thing is that they need to do. And everyone just uses Google as the default. But like the top bar of it is just like it's the answer to whatever they're looking for. It gives like an AI summary of basically whenever you type this thing in Google, here's all the things that pop up. And then it re-references that against other information that it has to know to be correct. So essentially it's coming to the point where arguably people could just get really into the habit of just like they just talk to their phone or their device, whatever it may be. They just basically click on the, hey, listen to my voice button. And then they don't have to click anything and it gives them an answer. They don't have to physically do an action to get like some really accurate results. Now, the big thing I think of is like, I mean, there's so much adoption for people using like an Alexa, but then the problem with an Alexa is it's never really had like, it never really has like a brain, essentially, in quote unquote. That's what they call the, what's that?
Can confirm. Alexa is stupid.
But yeah, I mean, like this AI software just allows it to actually remember stuff and allows it, and it's like accurate a lot of the time, a high percentage of the time. It has good accuracy. Now, you still obviously need to double check it, make sure that what it's telling you is accurate information. But with that being such a prominent thing of like people just looking for the information source, they don't want to like dig through all the links and all of the stuff where they can actually learn like all the stuff in depth. They just kind of want the answer to whatever their problem is, whatever the thing is. So, yeah, that's 100%. Yeah. Just like using like, hey, Google, hey, Samsung, whatever it may be. If only Apple could do it really well with their device.
On all my devices, bro.
I just turned on all your devices. Sorry. My apologies.
Yeah, for informational queries, it's definitely like a free lunch for the consumer, right? Like people already used to go to Google for informational queries, right? Like everyone's, I'm sure, been at like a social event and like you guys have a disagreement on like what's true. Like, okay, let's Google it. Like, let's find out. And that's getting more and more accurate, which, even though the click through rate is declining because you don't have to go to Wikipedia, you don't have to go to Reddit to get your answer. The click through rate is declining, but the number of queries is going up. And not just for educational, but also for commercial. Yep. And that's really the key part for Alphabet is that they nail that commercial part. Nugget and I have talked at length about how you try to balance the quality of the answer with, the people who are buying the ads. And, we can debate until the cows come home about whether that's actually conflict. I know Anthropic kind of poked fun at OpenAI for that a little bit of like, why would you have sponsored ads if you just want the best answer? But I don't think it has to be an either or. Especially for the commercial queries, like people, if they're looking to buy a new roof on their house, like there's not the best way to go to an AI and say, hey, which of these roofing companies is the best? Ultimately, what you're going to rely on there is maybe some Google reviews to have that context available to you. But the other thing I wanted to touch on is with queries getting longer. As people start asking their search engines, whether it be Google or any other LLM like Perplexity, the intent is going to be more clear. As they're putting in more information, you can actually tell what it is that person using the search engine wants. And that's actually going to bid up the price that the advertiser is willing to pay because they know that the conversion rate's higher.
Yep.
100%. Yeah. Yeah, I love that point. Especially, we're getting into such a personalized experience. Like when people utilize, and I think it really makes me think a lot of like TikTok when it first started. the reason people love TikTok so much is it felt so personal. Like they got their own personal experience. And then AI is doing a really similar thing where people get a personalized experience to the information they're finding on the internet, where they can ask these questions that are very specific to them and get feedback on that very specific thing without having to watch thousands of videos or read thousands of blogs or hundreds of blogs or however many to find the same information. They're just able to get something that's kind of more direct to what they specifically need versus it being, they watch a whole YouTube video and it turns out there was like a minute of it that actually talked about the topic that they cared about. And the YouTube video was a 20-minute long video, which just kind of happens sometimes.
Well, if you're Chris Camillo, all you care about is those TikTok comments, man. There's gold in that data.
100%.
That I don't trade like Chris, but like I love the way that he goes about it. I could never do that. That sounds a little bit mind numbing, trying to figure out how many people are going to show up to the Sphere concert this week. But like he's extremely successful at it, and I think it's very interesting what he does.
Yeah, trying to like dive through comments like that that's a lot.
Yeah, and there's a signal problem too, right? Like you don't know if there's bots, you don't know if the activity is organic, like who's posting it and why. Like, is it actually taking viral because like it's going viral because lots of people are sharing it with their friends, or is it going viral because it was pushed or because it was boosted by what have you? There's just a lot of question marks there. So I'm impressed by how those guys trade. Speaking of some trades here, so we've spent some time talking about just like AI in general and the advertising funnel. So what do you like here in terms of your picks? And obviously this is not financial advice, but we can give our opinion here, and you guys can make your own decisions. What do you like here? What's your time horizon? What are you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, obviously a lot of this stuff is just like, it's based off the career that I work in. A lot of stuff that I'm picking is based off the fact that I work so like much with AI that I personally like these a lot as like stocks in my portfolio. As well, I'd recommend people to do research before doing any sort of purchasing in terms of stocks. But I mean, two of my favorite stocks right now specifically are Google and NVIDIA, just because they're leading so much of the AI drive that like it is just really, really like tempting to go for it. And the other thing I really like is that they get a lot of revenue from business to business, not necessarily just from consumer. When you have like a business to business scenario in it, there is the other business's revenue that's often tied to investment scenarios. So like as someone who's investing in stuff like that, it makes me feel a lot more confident when they have a lot higher of a percentage of their revenue going to other businesses that are leveraging that for other like tools and softwares. So, I mean, Google obviously does that a lot with their ads. NVIDIA is developing chips for other companies to use through AI. So those are kind of like two of my like two stocks that I probably like the most right now in the market, even at the price that they're currently at, because my time horizon on them is like, unless something happens with AI or we hit like the full scale of AI's potential in the next 5 years, then maybe that'll change a little bit. But I think a lot of it is just going to, it's going to be like the utilization. And I feel like I've heard this before from a lot of other people, and it's a little bit hyperbole, but like, it's kind of like the internet in terms of how impactful it is to people. In terms of not only like business, but just people on a day-to-day basis and how much they're utilizing it, whether it be through their work or even if someone's just doing like a simple Google query on their end. but I guess the more part that I'm bullish on it, and the reason I like a lot of these is the business use. Because if they can find ways to simplify people's business workflows and the owners of the business have a business growth mindset, they're not going to stop trying to grow the business. They're going to keep growing the business quarter over quarter, year over year. So it's just going to eventually all just help compound. That's why those are two stocks that I mean, they're obviously crushing right now, doing pretty well, I'd say. Especially shout out to Google investors over the last year and some change, 2 years.
All-time highs.
What's that?
All-time highs. And the other thing with Google too is, they've got the cloud platform. So even if their frontier model doesn't win, which I think they're very much still in that dogfight, there's only going to be 4 or 5 players when the music is over, because there's such a high threshold to be able to afford the capex that there's a natural barrier to entry there. But they're all duking it out right now. But because they have the cloud business, even if Gemini is not the winner and Claude is the winner, guess what? They've got the compute demand, so they're going to make money on cloud anyways. And if NVIDIA, and also take it from the other angle, so the silicon angle, they are using both their own custom silicon and NVIDIA. So again, they're hedged in either direction, that if NVIDIA ends up outperforming TPU and 3 years from now we don't hear about TPU ever again, they're still buying NVIDIA chips. And of course, they've got the upside with TPU if that does end up becoming a big winner, which it looks promising at this point. Dougie, you got any notes?
One of the things that really JD kind of brought in my mind was the fact that these ad companies are making money with AI, not from their slop, not from their content generation, but they're making it kind of like the Palantir, where they're actually using it to generate better information. And like JD was saying, they know which ads are working and which ones aren't, and they cut those off. They water their flowers and kill their weeds. And I don't think we really see that in most industry yet. On a business intelligence side, like lots of people are like they're writing code now, or they're making images. They're certainly using them as tools, but the whole back end of the program managers and the project managers and what they're able to do with able to take data and turn it into information. I've always thought that was going to be the final boss of the AI revolution, is like when we get a truth machine and we have something that can tell us the answer. Because that's power. Ultimate power is to say, okay, when I have to make a decision, I know that I'm making the right decision. And so these ad companies, because they have so many impressions, they're benefiting from the laws of large numbers, because they're getting all these impressions, on all these social media platforms. They're kind of able to be that first wave that they've achieved the escape velocity of, okay, we now have enough data coming in that we can really feed these AIs, and they can tell us what the right thing is. And maybe didn't put that as eloquently as possible, but that was one of the things that JD said, actually kind of a little earlier in the episode, that really sat with me.
Like they have a huge surface area.
Cooking in my brain the whole time. So
yeah, that huge surface area gives them a huge data advantage.
And not that other businesses won't get that, but your like so just in the workflow of like a Fabletics, right? An internet meme athletic leisure wear company, right?
Mm-hmm.
They can tell what ads are working, but it's going to be you're going to need a lot more data to have the AI build you a new product that is going to sell as well, right? Because you don't have as many bites at the apple on product creation where you do on, okay, we can just, we don't even have to A/B test these ads. We can A, B, C, D, E, F, G, ad infinitum, all these different ads that we make, and we can tell which ones work.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to making the product or designing the product, A/B testing is a lot more expensive, right?
Yeah.
So, on a long enough timeline, companies will start to, that ability to just feed those large numbers into the AI funnel will start to be able to have effects, earlier up their design. I'm coining a term, their design chain, not supply chain, their design chain.
Mm-hmm.
And, their market research that'll help them design their products for the market will start benefiting from that. But right now, the bleeding edge is just out there interacting with people thousands of times a minute, or millions of times a minute, and the AIs can crunch all that. But
that's such a good point, because a lot of people talk about AI in medicine in that way, that it's going to fast track drug approval, because you'll be able to try, instead of having 3 clinical trials, you'll have AI being able to run in a digital twin 1,000 different experiments. So that the same thing's going to happen with advertising. Then instead of running 3 ad campaigns, you run all these different ad campaigns at the same time, and you're able to experiment a little bit more. I've never even thought about it like that.
100%. Yeah, we're able to do a lot of like iterations on content at a very quick pace, especially for images. Like it's able to do like a lot. Like we usually run anywhere from like a 6 to 12 variation batch, where it has 6 to 12 different images that have slight variations, slight tweaks. And based off the data, we can be like, okay, well, if the image has this type of style, typically performs better. If it has this type of wording, typically performs better, so on and so forth. We kind of take some of those base learnings and kind of get those along throughout the entire year to then, for we call like the Q4 time period, our Super Bowl, because everyone's buying for the holiday season. So that's kind of, we can take all the learnings we gotten throughout the year, apply them then, and put scale in terms of dollars behind it, because there's just so much addressable market for people that are spending money into it on like a consumer level, that are pushing some of that revenue to go, indirectly it goes from consumer to business, business to business, in terms of, we're delivering a product to a consumer, and then technically Meta would be delivering a product to us. So just any more reason, I guess, why I really like that kind of like workflow. It's not necessarily Meta is offering a product directly to consumers, but Meta offers a place where businesses can go connect with consumers, which is really, really like, I love that combo of it being like, oh yeah, they're not the ones that are necessarily trying to sell to all the customers. They're just trying to sell other businesses to go connect with customers. So it's a lot easier of like, for me mentally, I'm like, okay, I can get behind that a lot more from like an investment standpoint, whether that is, a Meta, or it's like a Google search, YouTube ads, really a lot of like advertising platforms, but also on the back end of it goes to like a, like a NVIDIA, where they're developing a lot of chips to help like these AI processes work really well. Or another stock that I really like, Cat, who is helping develop a lot of the like data centers for a lot of this stuff. And then additionally, I mean, they also Cat just does a lot of like construction work. I mean, if you're in a town, someone's doing construction, they're likely using a Cat machine. But they're doing a big reason for a lot of their growth has been because they're helping in the infrastructure for these big data centers, which, all the companies are using to help power their AI software. So,
yeah, there's a lot going on behind the scenes at Amazon too. Obviously, everyone sees the CapEx going up and up.
Yep.
I'll share some anecdotes here. So, just got a new puppy. His name's Burrow because, of course, he's a 7-week-old black lab.
Of course.
But, obviously the double entendre there's because dogs burrow. And I told Dougie he's also a Bengals fan, so I knew he would like that. And guess how many things we bought that weren't on Amazon?
I mean, it couldn't have been a ton of things. I mean, maybe some stuff off of like Chewy, but
0. Everything on Amazon.
Everything.
Yeah. Everything on Amazon. And I was asking the fiance about like she does a lot of like skincare and makeup, it's the health maxing season or whatever. And she said almost all that stuff. She goes through a lot of times it's influencers who are sharing why they like a specific product and whatnot. And then you just sort of have to judge for yourself whether or not that person selling you the product is, selling you bullshit or if they're selling you something that's actually helpful. And she said almost all of them are Amazon affiliate links. So like we just totally live in a different economy where people are not buying makeup products because they saw it, in between episodes on TV on what's that show? Like the Survivor, right? 20 years ago, I used to watch Survivor and everyone saw the same 8 companies advertised over and over again. And that's just totally been flipped on its head.
100%.
And these companies, they're seeing huge reward from it. Like obviously NVIDIA's numbers are NVIDIA's numbers. Amazon and Google are continuing to build out that CapEx and linking that all the way back to Cat. That's where you get that infrastructure build out. And it's not just the machinery that they own. There's also a huge bottleneck in these generators. And that's actually one of the reasons that Cat has run so much. I know, Dougie, you know more about the generator business than I do. You want to talk on that?
Generators? I mean, I work on them, but
well, like the natural gas generators.
Look, I mean, I do non-destructive testing or inspection on the blades on the turnarounds or the reconstructions of them, but manufacturing and stuff like that. We do know that they're still very long lead devices. It take a lot of time to generate, and one of the things we also need to start paying attention to is transformers, items that are going to be necessary to operate the grid. As we may be able to maybe the model is going to be to build these power plants that operate behind the switch to run the data center, but their whole justification for building their own power generation is that they'll be able to resell it out to the grid, just like they told us, for a decade now. I'm putting your residential solar up, right? So, you can sell your excess to the grid. Well, there's some issues with that may be for another episode or another discussion, but
we covered it a little bit last week.
Yeah, but for your data centers, they're still going to want to have excess generation capacity, and they're going to want to sell that back to the grid and back to the consumers.
Dang robots in disguise.
Yeah. So where are they going to get the because we've been talking about how antiquated our electricity grid is for the better part of a decade and a half now, and that was before the AI revolution. So where are we all of a sudden going to have the supply chain and the manufacturing to build all these components for expanding our grid? So that's what I've been looking at. Less just a generator, which is the question you asked earlier, but you know, all this CapEx spend is not just going directly to the bottom line of the neoclouds, right? Or the data center plays. They have to pay someone to build these data centers. So who are those? Who are the picks and shovels? That's why we like something like a Caterpillar, right? Because
Or Fix.
Yeah, or Fix, or something else that's going into these. I mean, the price of copper probably related, but you could also do it with stainless steel tubing for a lot of your cooling. So where's all the stainless steel tubing going from? Because it doesn't have to be high, like the coolant moving around this stuff doesn't have to be high pressure. So, you don't need full on pipe. Tubing is much cheaper option, but where is that coming from?
Yeah, I think a solution to a lot of that is Bloom, right? Like you have to build a lot less infrastructure if you can just plop down a cheap power source right next to your data center without having to like build a pipeline hundreds of miles to where you're setting up shop.
Where is it getting its fuel? That's one thing I haven't understood on the Bloom Energy is where, like, you still need a fuel infrastructure. And if you build a whole bunch of micro power plants, you've now created a giant logistics net. Like you'll need an Amazon of fuel delivery to all of these micro power plants.
So it's a solid oxide fuel cell. So my understanding is that the input is relatively cheap to transport, but I'm not an expert on Bloom.
Yeah, I'm not either.
JD and I are actually in a group chat with a guy who's been long Bloom since $24, and he sent us a screenshot last week that kind of made us want to cry a little bit.
Yeah, where I have his name in my phone as just Whale.
He's done ridiculously well. He was in Bloom early. He held all of his AMD. He held all of his Micron. He's really just knocked it out of the park.
Wow. Congrats, Whale.
He's kind of private. I've asked him if he wanted to come on the show and spread some knowledge, but he's being a selfish son of a bitch. He's keeping it all to himself.
He's like, I'll drop some bits in the group chat.
Yeah. And then I ask questions, and then he tells me why I'm stupid. It's great. It's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of one of the stocks that Mr. Whale owns as well, SoFi. I know you wanted to talk about this one a little, JD. So we had earnings come out. They're now hanging on to more loans than they were before. So the financial services revenue was down quarter over quarter. And Noto defended that on the call, saying that that was very much intentional for them to be able to hold on more loans. But that does use up their balance sheet. The more loans that they hold, just the more long-term it becomes, because eventually those loans have to get paid back. And that's really where the EPS is going to come from. Either getting service fees from selling it, and then you get the EPS today, or you hold the loan and the balance starts to pay off. But I think a lot of people are looking at this first as AWS a fintech, which if you were paying attention to the calls a year and a half ago, you should have known that wasn't coming. But number two, and this is the part that I think a lot of people forgot about, is that it's a neobank and has a natural margin advantage against traditional banks, where they don't have to pay for brick and mortar. They don't have to pay for cash moving all over the place. Like, that's expensive to hire security trucks to move around hundreds of thousands of dollars of cash. They have, less employees to actually pay. So it's you still have operating leverage there, but the market really didn't like it, even though they are growing EPS and book value. Right now, they are wedged between JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo in terms of book value per share. JP Morgan's at 2.2, Wells Fargo's about 1.6, SoFi is at 1.9. Still have not been able to get into the S&P 500, so that should tee us up here. Talk to me about SoFi.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just super long on SoFi. My time horizon on it is 10, 20 plus years. So like if they have, they have a quarter where, they're holding on to the balance sheet a little bit more than they would like, I personally am not quite as concerned because I know their long-term horizon game plan is like, let's get youngish people into SoFi. Let's get them having accounts. Let's get them on loan plans. And in the long term, these people will stay with SoFi because that's kind of how people, when they do their banking experience, if they've been with a place for a really long time, they're not really likely to switch. So like, unless there's just some super crazy, insane offer that gets thrown their way, then maybe they'll consider it. But it's just people like that convenience factor a little bit more. And I think SoFi does a great job of marketing. Maybe it's just because I'm a marketing guy as well that I just like SoFi a lot because I think they just do a really good job marketing their platform.
You call it customer acquisition.
Yep, customer acquisition, exactly. They do a lot of really good customer acquisition via like a lot of their marketing efforts. And I mean, we talked about a lot of marketing related information on the top of the call. I think they just do a really good job through influencer marketing as well and getting people interested in it through people consuming YouTube videos, watching short form media. It just is, they're able to keep growing that customer count, and they have a long-term mission for it they have a long-term horizon of their specific play for the loan processing. So I really like it. I don't know a ton about some of the specifics for the loans that they're holding, but either way, I mean, I'm still confident, especially at the share price. I like where it's sitting at. And just because they're growing a lot of members that are younger, as they get older, people are going to have more income. They're going to have more money. They're likely leveraging some form of like high yield savings or some of their investment platforms that are built in, giving it a more personalized experience for their banking needs. So that's kind of like the main 3 reasons that I just really like it. Even if some of the balance sheet doesn't look as great, I just know that they're growing a lot of customers that are younger, and eventually those people who are becoming customers are going to be a bit more financially minded and have a little bit more capital on the back end of their lifespan, or at least like towards, when they're not 20 something or 30 something, maybe when they're 40, 50, 60, their financial picture will change. So,
So it's like a total value of the life of the customer argument there.
Yeah.
Dougie, were you gonna get something in?
Well, I was just saying they've been targeting Henry's. That's high earners, not rich yet. That's been their playbook for as long as I've been following the company and having a position in them. That's just a long horizon investment to be in. Part of their problem, though, is that a lot of people, though, when they do graduate to being rich, they all of a sudden have a lot more people willing to help them switch. So, yeah. So if you're a high earner, but not rich yet, yeah, a lot of the automated tools and stuff are great. but once you kind of hit probably low seven figures, people are gonna start reaching out to you. Oh, hey, let us help you manage your money. Okay, we're gonna move, and okay, our family, our family management is gonna we use Schwab or we use Fidelity as our platform. So we're just move all your stuff there, and we're gonna do it for you. You don't have to worry about it. So I really believed in that moat. I believed in that concept of, get the Henrys, get them locked in, because transferring is such a pain in the neck. No one's going to want to do it. And then I actually got to experience the flip myself and saw just how easy it is to pay someone to flip it for you. And they are going to be seeking the business of people to flip them. And like, I'm not even at the level that someone like JP Morgan is even paying attention to yet.
Yeah. So two things I'll note there is those banks take their customers for granted so much. Like they pay them 0.01% APY. So they're basically saying, hey, come bank with us and we'll gladly take all of the interest. No problem. Sounds like a good deal. They hit you with overdraft fees. The customer service is not that great. So the experience just isn't good. On top of that is the second part, which is the banking TAM itself is a massive ocean. So if you can even just break off 5% of that, which SoFi is not even close to, you can end up with a really, really nice, wonderful business.
Yeah, I think they'll have a nice business. I'm not saying, I'm not pulling a Maddie Capital and saying they're going to zero, but but the theory of, hey, let's get people locked in and then they'll be too lazy to switch when they're old.
Well,
I guess
so the reason that I think they do have some lock in there is because their net promoter scores are good. They're cross-selling effectively to other products. And here's the big one, which is kind of what makes it a pain in the ass to switch banks. Almost all of their banking customers are enrolled for direct deposit. That has a huge stickiness aspect to it. JD, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick, in terms of them staying, I guess more of that was in response to the idea of them holding these loan balances on the balance sheet. As they grow older, they'll eventually, as they, make more income that they're able to pay off some of these loans, that number will go down. Dougie, to your point, where it's like, after they do hit a 7-figure, net worth, it probably is pretty easy for them to switch off. Now, I guess maybe
do it for them.
What's that?
People will do it for them.
Right. And I guess part of that, at least my thinking on that, and maybe it's just a club I haven't gotten into yet, so maybe that's why I haven't quite experienced some of it, is that like with this process of what their loans currently are, what loans these people currently have, by the time they hit that net worth amount, just from like an average consumer standpoint, I would imagine, I guess I haven't looked fully into the numbers, that they're going to be paying off that a fair amount of the loan that they would have owed with SoFi. But I mean, I guess to your point, maybe it is someone who's just managing that asset for them, or who comes in as like, hey, I know you're managing all this stuff. Now that you have this amount of assets in your name, we'll handle all of that for you. And maybe that just makes it a bit easier. But
that's literally the conversation I had on Tuesday with somebody who's looking for a lot more business from me.
So I think if you're looking
on the wealth management side, and they're just like, hey, let's take all this stuff that you don't want to do, we'll do that for you, and you can just enjoy life.
Now, on the wealth management side, if we're worried about like private client people moving out of SoFi, first of all, the member growth is so large that I think it's a little bit too early to worry about churn, but like let's investigate that a little bit. So if we have this idea that there's going to be great wealth transfer that Robinhood and SoFi and others will benefit from, and that these high earners are going to be meeting net worth markers, that now they need a different group of services. Maybe that's direct advice, maybe that's tax advice, estates, trust, what have you. I believe that 5-10 years from now, SoFi, as their customers grow, SoFi will have the products there ready for those customers when they actually need them. So that's just kind of trusting management to have execution in place.
That's absolutely valid, and there's nothing to say that won't be the case. But it's very difficult to say, yes, I'm gonna buy the stock because the thing that doesn't exist, they will have it done and ready to go when they need it.
Sure,
that they have never mentioned before. And I'm just giving you my single one-person experience, so that's anecdotal evidence at best, right?
Mhm.
But this is what I've seen happen now to just myself and a few other people that have kind of reached a certain threshold where I can manage it myself, but people are starting to offer to manage it for me.
So the one of the reasons that I have the faith that the products will be there is because look at what SoFi has been able to do over just the last 5 years. Like, this used to be a company that just did student loans. And now they've turned into one of the bigger banks in the country. Obviously, they've not cracked the top 5, but they're in the mix. They're cross-selling now to credit card, cross-selling to refinances, reselling. They're cross-selling to
the fact they're
home
in
mortgages.
This
company should be good.
The only company that's done a better read the tea leaves and figure out we need to be in a different business, to me, is IREN and their switch from Bitcoin mining early enough to realize, we have all this infrastructure and we can just do data centers and AI data centers with it rather than Bitcoin mining. But SoFi, kind of the same thing. We have this infrastructure of this neobank, and we're just going to go serve a different market with it because the one we've been, the market we thought we identified dried up. So let's take everything we have and let's go get something else. And that's really, really solid in creative management.
I mean, we can look at the personal loans here and the home loans. Like, I'm really enjoying seeing these trends, and the home market's still mostly dead, right? Like, this has not been because home mortgages are popping off. Like, mortgage rates are still above 6%. I wonder if I can put on my bull cap here for a second. I wonder what happens if rates get cut and then the shorts have to get off of this thing and then they get into the S&P 500. That's kind of my ultra bull case. Interesting stuff. Did we want to pivot to a little bit of macro and some of the volatility and how we're managing that?
I actually did have another ad space question for
let's get it in.
Let's do it.
Can you tell us what you know about Zeta?
Zeta, I've dabbled with it a little bit, at least looked into it. I don't know a lot about it, admittedly, because of my knowledge of Zeta is that they basically go to businesses and they're like, hey, we'll handle the delivery of whatever your ads are to these platforms. And I mean, maybe at a big scale for a major corporation, I could see where that has value. I think it kind of comes down to a little bit of the AI stack and how easy that is for some people to manage. I would admittedly have to do a little bit more research on Zeta. I've just kind of done some just base level digging of the product itself. And I wasn't super impressed from an advertiser standpoint. just because it didn't really seem like, at least from like a company of like the company that I work for standpoint. But I could definitely see a case where some people are like, oh yeah, this could be like a really important thing for major businesses who just have their hands in so many different things. At least like business wise, where they want to off put a little bit of that effort for their like marketing teams. But that's kind of all the knowledge I have. It comes when it comes
Okay.
to that.
Well, I would have been irresponsible of me not to ask you, considering the space you work in. So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, once again, I haven't really looked a ton into it. I've just kind of looked at some base level stuff for Zeta. So
Yeah, my understanding is that they own or advertise on a little bit of a different space that's like less social media related, a lot of billboards, print, TV, etc. So maybe even like Sirius XM or AM FM radio, stuff like that. They're more old school, so like they don't grow quite as fast. Interesting company. I'm not in on it, but you're right, Doug. I'm glad you asked. The Zeta heads would have came after us if we didn't. Zooming out a little bit, the last 2 months have kind of been literally a roller coaster. I mean, we went down the big hill and we came right back up it with some jetpacks on. New all-time highs. Market was up almost 1.5% today, so like very, very strong. VU was at all-time highs, or sorry, SPY was at all-time highs, whichever one you want to look at. Largely because of a lot of the AI names. Amazon hit an all-time high. Google hit an all-time high. But how are we thinking about long-term, or maybe JD, how are you thinking about long-term some of the whiplash that we've been seeing over the last few months?
yeah, I mean, really the biggest thing for me that I'm focused on is I just really focus on my active income, and then I'm putting that continuously into the stock market, into mainly stuff that I am like very bullish on. I'm during a lot of these like volatility periods. I'd say even in the last like over the last kind of like year and some change. I mean, there was like the Trump tariffs that was like last April, and then I mean, basically after the Trump tariffs, we had just a rip of a little run, and then there was a lot of the stuff in March for like, or even just at the beginning of the year, like AI fears. Additionally, like the Iran conflict. So like even through all of that, like I'm just really trying to focus on my like active income and putting that into things that I am just like really doesn't matter what happens in the market. I'm just super focused into just those during those periods of like high volatility, and just putting into those names that I'm super into, and like I'm like, okay, I have a long-term thesis for this, and it's sticking with that long-term thesis of it, and just putting more money into those, especially in periods where there's a discount. I mean, it's pretty base level investing advice, but I still think it's just valuable to think about, because like, especially in these periods where there is like down, like the market is down, every headline you read is just ripping into like, especially something like AI, where like, as someone who works in AI, with AI frequently, I should say, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is going to get to the point where it's just insane, like in terms of how much value it provides businesses. So like, there's just a little bit of having to understand that like there's going to be cycles of it, of like certain businesses that are like long term. Just keep putting money into it. Put a lot of money into put a lot of time into like active income activities to help bolster key positions in a portfolio. That's what I personally did during like basically since the start of the year, where I've just been like, oh, let me create a bunch of content. Let me work with a bunch of brands to get more active income, so I can just funnel that in through brokerage account, through 401k, through tax advantage business accounts.
So on dips, we're taking advantage and we're buying our highest conviction place.
Yeah, just that's what I'm doing is I'm just buying my highest conviction plays at the time period and I'm spacing it out. Especially being that I work in like content creator space. I mean, I get my pay on a consistent basis through working through Ridge. But I also do like content creation as like a photographer, videographer. So it can kind of be a little bit like bulky in terms of how much I will make. Like I'll do like a brand deal for like anywhere from like $1,000 to as much as like 10 to 15 grand. So sometimes I'll go 3 months without locking in like doing a brand deal, but that's because I'm closing on or like getting the finances set up for like a 15K brand deal. So I was like 3 months. So there's a little bit of like spacing and planning ahead that I do with that personally for some of that capital. But I'm just kind of like, hey, if this is a good period that there's volatility in the market, the VIX number is high. I'm like, okay, yeah, let me try to put a little bit more. Let me try to squeeze some cash from like my high yield savings to put into the market because I know it's a high time of volatility and I can leverage it on plays that I think are just really still good. Even during a lot of the AI fears, and I mean, there's still some AI fears now. Like I'm still just super convicted on the value from a business to business standpoint that it's really hard for me to like deter off of my bullishness from AI. At least like business to business softwares that are, what is it? That are, I guess that have involvement in it just because I know how much workflow stuff that it helps. So
Always with a long outlook, though. Interesting. I think more people should do that because a lot of times Mr. Market gets caught up in what's happening in the next 3, 6, 12 months, and they leave a lot of value on the table for what cash flows and earnings are going to be 3, 5, 7 years from now. Dougie, did you have anything to add there? I know we've covered it quite a lot on the show of like, hey, please give me more dips. This is free money.
No, I think it's time to run again. One thing that just kind of crossed my mind is I wonder if we're going to sell off big time again next year in February, March, just so everyone like has a whole bunch of dry powder to buy in April, to buy the lows in April, so that May rips again. Yeah. Like, is that the new cycle now? Like, we have to wait for the president to do something crazy again in the early April timeframe that is going to ignite markets again, and it's just just get all your selling done in November and on the way down, maybe November through February, and then just hold through the March lows and start accumulating, and then just smash the buy button right at the beginning of April when the pain is the most again, and watch it rip higher.
Yeah, that'd be wild.
Yeah, like once is a what's the phrase? Once is a coincidence, two is a something, but three is a pattern. So if you can get that, be the first one to the trough next spring, we might be onto something.
Yeah. I guess we'll see. I mean, especially with Donnie T, he loves to add in some volatility. So, and a lot of people, he's very combative, as well as like he's so willing to accept like a small dip retrospectively, that it's kind of like, all right, well, we'll just figure that out and then we'll go to the next thing. So yeah.
JD, did you know that Dougie's birthday is National Buy the Dip Day?
Yes, it is.
2 years in
Okay.
a row now. His
2 years in a row.
birthday is damn near marked the bottom.
Whew. There you go. Well, let's see if you hold it
Well,
strong.
you know the whole like, oh, it's not your birthday; it's your birthday week. Yeah, if we expand that out, then yeah, that's I get the birthday week.
Dude, who started that crap? The birthday week. Someone needs to tell those people to quit being so selfish. Okay, you get
Well,
one
my
day.
my
It's
wife
in
has
the
now
name.
claimed the entire month of October as the birthday month.
You don't get to do
Can we
that.
go out to eat? Like, let's go to a steak restaurant. It's my birthday month.
No, the month of October. Okay, I'm an October birthday as well. Okay, I get one day. You October belongs to Halloween. That's just the way it is.
See, we're not big Halloween people though.
How can you not be a big Halloween person? Like candy, dressing up, scaring people, dude. It's a good time.
Mm-hmm.
I like
Football season.
I was raised. I mean, I was raised, and it was like Halloween is just a thing, and it's just like one day, and then it's over.
I think Halloween in the Midwest must hit different, huh?
Yeah, it must be. I mean,
Okay.
I'm super big into Halloween. I always love doing some sort of dress up, so it's always fun.
Okay, well, I'll trade you Halloween because but I'm like a Louisiana, New Orleans boy. Okay, like you want we have Halloween. You know, we call that Tuesday, right?
It's not our fault. You guys
one
don't
thing
know how
the
to
Midwest
dress.
folks have not figured out, and I love y'all, but your weddings are terrible.
Midwest weddings?
Midwest weddings are just the worst.
Talk to me. Go off. You got to be more specific.
Yeah.
Like, do not invite me to a Midwest wedding.
Dude, I'm going to invite you to my Midwest wedding. What's the problem?
I'll come because I love you, brother, but yeah.
I'm like, you're going to be at my wedding in the Midwest like a year from now.
Yeah, for sure. So I kind of want to, because we have a guest on the show and it's a little off of our regular content, but it's a little more of my personal interest. So sorry, chat, if this bores you, or I want to talk about JD the camera guy. He's obviously not JD the stock guy. He's JD the camera guy. Talk about your camera stuff, because I'm interested in that. I have a hobby that photography is a pretty cool part of, and I suck at it. So
yeah, I've built up a little bit of a following doing it. I have 7 million followers teaching people how to essentially use their, whatever camera device that they have, how to use it better. Whether it's taking photos, making videos, making content, just really a lot of it leverages smartphone devices. Yeah, something light. But
yeah, I said the same thing, Austin.
I guess like a lot of the idea of it is that it's just like people have their smartphone on them at all times. So people love to take pictures. So it was kind of like my entry point into just making content. It was something I liked doing. I have fun doing it. I enjoy it. And it has like a big addressable market of people who use their phone on a day-to-day basis of like just taking photos, making videos, making content. So I'm like, all right, well, let me just show people how to do some cool stuff using these devices. So yeah, a lot of it is, I mean, it's a lot of fun. I get to work with a lot of really cool brands. I get to work with like DJI, Insta360, Sony, doing it and getting to show people how to do that all, whether it's using certain settings, what type of like lighting situations to use, how to like think about like your background scenery, stuff along those lines. And the biggest thing that I explain to people is, especially, and I think this is just the reason why it's done so well for me, is when I explain concepts to other people, I really try to dumb it down, make it really easy. A lot of my camera content, I think, is just done so good from like a performance standpoint is because I tried to explain it at a 5th grade level of like, if a 12-year-old couldn't understand how to do this stuff, it's probably too complicated, or I'm explaining it too complicated. Um, so, but I guess like the biggest thing that the like most base level of photography, videography thing I could mention to people is go where the light is. Wherever there's light at, go there. If there isn't light there, you have to create some sort of light. And that's what's going to like make your scene work really well. Think of the camera that you're using like your eyes. Like if you're in a dark room without any light, it really doesn't work all that well. Like you just can't see things. So that's kind of a little bit of it. And then additionally, part of it comes into understanding a little bit of like set design, things like that, understanding how to use or like when to use certain lenses. And part of that comes from experience of just kind of like doing it. Like I've been playing around with like not only my phone camera, but like a digital DSLR camera for I think I've been making content since I was 12 years old and I'm 29. So on a technicality standpoint, that's 17 years of experience doing it. So like I've been just doing it so long that all of it's just compounded where like I don't have to really think about a ton of the stuff just because I've done it so frequently. But part of it is just getting the reps in with, I feel like this is just any skill is just like, you got to get your reps in, you got to put your hours in, you got to put your time into it. And you gotta fuck up. You gotta make some mistakes with it. Cause like at the end of the day, like I almost treat most of the things I do more like an art form, whether it is investing or if it's teaching people how to take better photos or making advertising content, or I don't know, even just like relationships is like, just think of it more in like an art form and like it's okay to make mistakes type of mentality. And like, I'm a lifelong learner type mentality. So like, there's more stuff that I still have to learn and more stuff that I'll pick up along the way just by being like, oh yeah, well, there's still more stuff that I can learn and figure out about in terms of, camera settings or like what type of gear to use or like, I don't know, just any sort of like photography, content creation type tips. So I don't know if that fully answered your question, but yeah.
Here's a good example of what we'll see on the feed here. I'll go full screen, try and make it a little bit better to see.
100%.
I fell asleep amid the flowers for a couple of hours on a beautiful day. Daydream, I dream of you amid the flowers for a couple of hours. Such a beautiful day.
Yeah, and
Cool
it's
stuff,
really,
right?
really like straightforward tutorial styled stuff that I try to do for content. Just because people, especially, I mean, people are always just looking for more information on how they can do whatever small niche hobby or interest that they have or thing they like to do better. So,
Yeah, well, that's what I I have a pretty niche little hobby that a lot of the people in the chat know that I do, but documenting that, then these projects would put a lot of work into, and they only last for a few seconds. But so you want to get the shots right, and they can be pretty dramatic, or even video and stuff. I feel like I have a way to go there to develop that whole other little skill. Yeah, so I'm excited to take a look at some of your content and see if I can learn a few things.
absolutely. Yeah. Especially in like the just whether it's taking photos of yourself or taking photos of a family member, or it's just like making content on the internet. I mean, there's different use cases for everything and different styles of how you're going to do it based on what you're creating. But yeah, it's a heck of a journey. And I'm sure you'll get a lot of, whether it is for hobby, whether it's photography stuff, a lot of that stuff translates even over to like video and you know, making content, making podcasts like this. A lot of that sort of stuff translates because, you know, the more you think about it, the more that type of stuff just naturally finds its way into your life on a day-to-day basis. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've never been like a big person in terms of like taking pictures and selfies and whatnot. And then once I started living with this guy, you know, they improved a little bit. Because he just showed me like all the very simple, stupid mistakes of like, no, don't do it like this, do it like that. And then all of a sudden my pictures got a lot better. And for the gentleman in the chat, like your pictures do matter on the dating profile. I'm just saying, I'll put that out there. It does matter. It's all about presentation.
100%.
We got some comments here talking about Nikon DSLR. That's the same one you shoot with, right?
Personally, are you talking to me or are you talking to Dougie?
I mean, either of you guys.
I don't use a Nikon.
I've used Nikon. I don't own Nikon. I own a lot of Sony gear, and I just like a lot of the versatility of Sony gear. A big reason why I ended up going with Sony is lens versatility. They just have so much more options available to people that aren't just like Sony. Like you can go out and shop the market for lenses that are usable on Sony. So
got it.
But I honestly, you know, and this is a big reason why I just do a lot of mobile video photography type stuff, is because the best device out there is the one you have. You don't need to have all the fancy gear and fancy setups. I know, you know, and I feel if you're in the photography space, you've definitely heard it before, is like there's people who can use a mobile device better than someone who can go out and use like a DSLR. A lot of it is just understanding techniques and understanding lighting situations. And then there's a little bit of having just an eye for it, where it's just like you can kind of just like start looking around for things based on where the sunlight is at, if you're out in an outdoor scene or if you're in an indoor scene, like just like using light to guide you into like an image, and you're like, it might be kind of interesting in this if this was here. So then it kind of like allows that creative, some of those creative juices to just kind of flow. And even if it isn't, you know, like if it's nothing that's super good, you never know. Someone else might find it really good. One of my most popular pieces of content I've ever made was something I absolutely hated. I just did not like it. Didn't think it was very good. I was like, I'm not going to post this thing. I sat on the content for probably like half a year, and then was just like, why not? You know what? Screw it. I'll edit into it. I'll jazz it all up, do all this stuff. Most popular piece of content I've ever made. So
I'm a sucker for landscape photography, so like anything nature related. So I wanted to point out how awesome Julie's picture is here. It's so cool. Dougie, you wanted to talk some rockets?
Oh, that's what I wanted to take pictures of. But yeah, so that's where the Niton. That's from the range setup Sunday was like probably 150 feet away and 300-400 feet high, going, 300 miles an hour or so. So pretty good photo. So that was not my photo, and not my photo.
Yeah,
I would love to be able to take those.
I'm just trying to kind of think of what you would need to get that kind of setup. Suppose I wonder if it's no, I probably can't really see it, but I have like a 200 to 600 millimeter. You'd probably have to use something like that, and then you can essentially add on like there's like an adapter you can add on, that would allow you to multiply that focal length to effectively allow you to shoot from like a super far away distance. I think the one that I've looked at a lot for a lot of like nature, like if, for example, this is what a lot of people who are into wildlife photography will shoot with, which could work really well for something like that after you crop in, because likely the person who took that photo, after taking a photo, they probably cropped in a bit. They'll use like a 200 to 600 millimeter, and then they'll use one of those adjustable telephotos to essentially take that magnification and then like basically like double or triple it to turn that 600 millimeter into what would be like a like 1800 millimeter, where they can see stuff from like super far distance away, type of stuff that people would use to take like photos of the moon, get really good close-ups of the moon type of photos. So
All right, cool. Well, sorry everybody to take us so far off the finance and into a whole other rabbit hole, but we do have someone who has a little expertise in a field. Be foolish not to ask them about what they're expert in. So thanks for that old diatribe.
yeah,
we love a good diatribe. We love learning new stuff.
100%.
I think we were kind of riffing on the macro before we dug into the camera stuff a little bit. You've got here, offense is the best defense, and I like where that's headed, but tell me what that means to you, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that is really just more on like the specific idea that like you can only control the controllables. You can't control the uncontrollables, you know, whether the Fed rate is going to change or like what the president's going to do on a random Wednesday. Like there's certain things that are just like out of your control that you can't like do stuff with. So like a lot of it is just like you just control the things that you can control. You be offensive on the things you can do on like a day-to-day basis. And just really making sure that like you are taking full advantage of just like and I guess this is maybe more for someone who has like who maybe they're still in their full-time working positions. Maybe they have time for a little bit of like a side hustle type thing that they can do, is just really putting more time and effort into learning some of that stuff. And then during those periods, giving yourself a bit more active income to use as kind of like ammunition to throw into some of those strong investments. So that's
so
kind of what
the idea there being like sometimes aggression can actually be your friend and
Yeah.
lower your risk profile. Like if you're aggressive at the right time and you're buying the right thing, sometimes aggression is the move, because if you're too passive, this goes for like any game, any contest, even just life in general. Sometimes if you're too passive and you don't take any risk at all, that's actually the most risky thing, right? Because then you don't give yourself any opportunity to win.
100%. Yeah. I think I mean, I'm a big sports guy. I know that you like a lot of sports. So like sometimes, you know, you gotta go for a touchdown. Sometimes you gotta chuck the 60-yard ball, like try to score a touchdown. Sometimes you gotta do it.
There's times to run the ball and there's times to run a go route.
Exactly. 100%. So yeah, I think just in times of uncertainty, like I would say like don't make super risky stock plays in like terms of what you're trying to pick on the finance side of things. But like usually when there's a little bit of uncertainty into the market, it doesn't relate into your job quite as much. Maybe if you do work in finance, maybe it kind of does a little bit. But I think for a lot of people who work in active income, that are still working in active income, that aspect of it is like, okay, during those times, be a little bit more offensive with your active income and the things that you can do on a day-to-day basis, and then leverage that time of like, oh, hey, there's opportunity right now. If I not only work harder, but I also, put my army of dollars to use during a period of a little bit of uncertainty. Usually, if you're investing in things that you have done the research on, you have a good long-term horizon on it, you'll end up in a fair position.
What if you're a small business underwriter working for Silicon Valley Bank? Do you still buy the dip?
That's a great question. I mean, I don't know. Maybe this is just a thing of like this is just like personal experience type thing where like usually a lot of stuff that I'm like working on a week to week basis is like based on my effort. I can pull a lever and make a little bit of extra active income, where I understand there's probably a fair amount of people who can't always do that. So, yeah, I think someone in Silicon Valley, 50-50 on whether or not they can do that or not. So
Yeah, they're probably ducking for cover.
Yeah.
Sorry if this video makes it to anyone who worked there and got laid off. That stinks.
Mm-hmm.
Dougie, did you want to talk NFL draft results or did you want to talk meetup first?
I thought we'd just chat meetup a little bit.
Chat meetup? Yeah, so Chicago, AK
Yep.
Media Events. I'll plug it here. akmedia.news.
akmedia.news.
So I won't be there, but you're going to be there. Chicago. That's this Saturday, right?
Yep. And I haven't decided what the wardrobe drop is going to be yet. Getting close to needing to make that decision.
The wardrobe drop. What did you send the other day? That there's like a bar that gives you more drinks if you're dressed better. What was that?
Oh yeah. So the wife and I went out for our anniversary, and there's this like a couple of blocks. It's just a bunch of bars, so it's a really nice place to go, just kind of bar hopping, right? And this one place, it's a tailor shop by day, and then they close down the tailor shop and open up the bar upstairs. So it's kind of like a speakeasy might have been like back in the day. Okay, so yeah, then they had this neon sign up there that was like, the better you're dressed, the worse you can behave. And I was like, yep, that checks out. That checks out. So I do want to go check them out again and see what kind of clothes they have during the day.
I see. That's how they get you. Like the bar is the customer acquisition, and then you actually round trip back to them for the expensive stuff.
I mean, maybe we'll see. But no, I mean their bourbon selection was choice. And I was like, oh wait, you have to wait for the tailor shop to close down to have a drink. Like you can't just like give me a glass of bourbon while you like work on my take measurements and everything, and just we go suit shopping.
There's definitely places that do that, right? I
feel like it's like the Say Yes to the Dress TV show, but for guys, it should absolutely include, bourbon tastings. Yeah, but I think I sent you that photo, or I put it in the group chat because it's, everybody's like, oh, I wish I had your style. I'm like, it's just Amazon.
Let me see,
it's just Amazon.
I'll see if I can find it here.
Anyway, yeah, Chicago. Yeah, flying in tomorrow. Gonna hang with the boys. Amit will be there. Steve will be there. Junie just backed out on us. Thanks, June.
Is she even in the chat anymore? I think she might have gone to sleep.
No, she might have gone to bed.
Let's trash her while she's not here to defend herself.
Yeah. June was supposed to go, and then she said she had some stuff come up, so she's not going to be there. But yeah, this we're going to be downtown. So like Thursday, I'm getting very late on Thursday, so I probably won't be able to like hang out unless they're like all chilling at the hotel bar afterwards or something like that. But yeah, now that we're all like in the same hotel, it's pretty nice too because we can all just like hang there. But I did want to. But Friday we are going to go explore. We're going to find like a couple of nice rooftop bars and stuff and go hang out. I guess kind of like we did in Miami, and then the event on Saturday, and then hang out on Sunday, and come home.
Yeah, that'll be a great time. Like Chicago, really, really fun city.
I've never
Especially
been. I'm looking forward to being there.
Yeah, especially like in the spring and the summer, like when everyone's finally like, oh my gosh, it's not freezing cold anymore. Everyone, I feel like, has an extra pep in their step after surviving 4.5 months of winter. I mean, JD, you live in Minnesota. You tell me, man.
Yeah, that's just the theme. As soon as it gets to a point where it's above like 40 to 50 degrees, people just have like a little extra like oomph to just going out and doing things because they just spent the last couple of months being like everything's so damn cold.
Been hibernating for months. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Houston, we almost have the opposite. So we get like, we have 2 seasons. We have summer and spring.
Mm-hmm.
So we had we're having spring this actually this last weekend. It was like 70 at night and like no humidity, which for us is like January weather, which we were getting in May. So that was really nice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same thing happens here in Arizona. Everyone, well, not everyone. They call them the snowbirds. So anyone who's got multiple houses, a lot of them actually come from Minnesota. So they'll live in Minnesota during the summer, or Wisconsin, or Canada, Michigan, and then a lot of them will have houses either in Arizona or Florida for the winter. So we get all the bad drivers coming in roundabout like right after Christmas. They all show up with their AARP cards.
Should have like a fleet of Teslas for them to just like pick up at the state border and like, okay, now you all have to drive. You all have to use self-driving.
All right, we've got the Waymos coming to the airport.
Oh wow, okay.
That's been a thing, by the way. It's been like over a year now that you've been able to get a Waymo directly from Sky Harbor. It's pretty sweet.
Did you see FSD crossed, what is it, 10 billion miles of FSD data?
Yes, and I also saw people griefing him a little bit because I guess a few years back he said 10 billion is like the magic number of miles that we'll need to have enough data to be able to solve all of our edge cases. So now, of course, now that he's happy that they've hit that level of scale, everyone's throwing his words back in his face.
Yeah, it's disappointing that I can't take a nap on with the car yet, but
what are they missing? Like, it seems like they're so freaking close to getting there, but they just can't pull the trigger on it. What do you think's missing?
They're agonizingly close to make an R-rated joke. It's like, okay, well now I know how, a lot of women feel in their 20s.
You want to touch that one, JD? I'm not touching that one. There.
Yeesh.
Like, okay. I appreciate the grind. Sorry.
Thanks for your effort. We appreciate the hustle, but it's not happening tonight.
Right. That's pretty much how it feels having FSD. Because last year he said, yeah, Model Ys in Texas should be fully autonomous. Private owners. And so it seems like all their work might have been going into still the Cybercab, but at least we're on a common FSD stack now. So there's no individual stack just for Cybercab or Cybertaxi. It is now the same stack for everybody.
Unless you had an older model that was on hardware 3, and then you have to get a retrofit, right? If I understand that correctly.
Yep. Which, I mean, when they have it, they're gonna give those for free. So I mean, yeah, you bought early and you got a pretty good product. I wish it was better, but I mean, it is what it is.
Well,
I think
once
the
they
tech-
figure it out,
the
I'm gonna buy a
tech is
Tesla.
capable. The question is not whether or not it's the regulators are going to allow it, but the tech is certainly capable.
Yeah, I mean, once they figure it out, I'd be dying to do it because not having to worry about my commute would get me back 4 hours a week. And I'm sure there's lots of people who have longer commutes than
Yeah.
half an hour each direction that would save a ton of time. There's like people who have in SF, especially LA, DC, that have an hour, hour and a half each direction that would love to just like not have to babysit a wheel.
Yeah. Well, the whole like nanny driving thing, that's coming for all the cars, though. You know, they talk about the nag on the Tesla and the FSD, and that kind of gets most of the headlines, but that's coming for all the cars.
Oh, sorry. When I said babysit a wheel, I meant like literally driving. But I guess
No,
it
yeah,
does
no,
apply
but
to
that's
the
what I
nag,
mean,
too.
though. Like literally babysit a wheel. Like the cars are going to start shutting off if you're not paying attention, whether you're on FSD or not. And that was a Biden era ruling for all new cars manufactured after a certain date.
Yeah, lots of it comes to find out that there was a lot of interesting Biden era rulings, including the death of Spirit Airlines, which was totally foreseeable and avoidable. But
yeah, so those requirements are coming to a vehicle near you, though. Whether you have a Tesla or a Chevrolet or a Ford or whatever it is, you're going to have eye tracking software, making sure you're paying attention to the road, or the car is going to pull over to the side of the road and shut off.
oh, you're talking about the new build OEM requirements to be looking at the people in the cars.
Yep.
I feel like that might get reversed, right? Like that seems incredibly unpopular.
Vehicle kill switches that allow the government to take over your car while you're in it. I don't think they're going to give that up.
Siege is saying we need to reload the stream. He's saying that the chat got cut off.
Oh, yeah. I haven't seen anything since you posted Amit's.
Interesting. Well, I think we were about we were wrapping up.
Probably close to done. We've been at almost 2 hours.
Okay.
Right, so we'll table the NFL stuff. I don't have anything. I was more wanting to hear your thoughts on that. But,
yeah, we can get into that next week.
Bye bye bang.
So what are we doing after the meetup? I've kind of told you what weekends I have free. I haven't heard a date yet. Final date.
Oh, here, let's wrap this thing and then we can dig into it. Thanks everyone for joining. I added JD's socials in the description down here because his 7 million followers need our shout outs. We're really going to move the needle. It's going to happen.
30 viewers.
Something light.
But anyone going to Chicago, you'll see Dougie there. You won't see myself. But I hope you guys enjoyed. We like to keep it a little bit different, mix things up, bring in different people, different expertises. And I think it was awesome having you on, JD.
Sweet. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's been a minute. So it was good to get to chat about some finance stuff and just get to chat about life. So
is there... All right, bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Peace.